Hey, what's up? This is Chris, and today we are going to build the MODE 65. We got all of our parts and pieces and keys and switches all in. We are ready to go, so let's check it out. Here we go. Okay, so let's see what's in the box. For starters, we went with the MODE stabilizers. I've never had MODE stabilizers before, so I thought let's give them a shot and do that for the MODE board. Here we have the weight. So this is the Dawn weight, and actually they had a warehouse sale recently, and we picked up a copper weight. So I think we're going to use that instead. So let's put the weights over here. This is the accent along the back. We got walnut, so we'll put that here. We'll check that out a little bit. Very thoughtful packing. And then here is the main board. I originally was going to do this, but then I got some MX Blacks from Unikey's that were lubed and filmed, some MX1As, some Hyperglides. So I thought, well, you got to put those with the aluminum plate. So I ordered the aluminum plate. That came in nice dark gray aluminum here. So we're going to use that with the Cherry switches. But we'll have the PC plate in case we ever want to switch that out with something else. And then our PCB is up here. Let's check that out. Okay, so this is the solder PCB. And of course, I love how they have everything labeled. So this is what I really like if you're building the 7 or the 6.25 spacebar. You know, it's always tricky to tell which one your switches go in, but they have it labeled there, which I've always appreciated. So there we go. This is the PCB. Here's where the cable plugs in. Very nice. And then, of course, we have our tool set, which we already have a few of. In here, we have the daughter board. And we have the middle, so this goes on top of the weight, and I have the white bottom, so that matches that. Over here it looks like we have the feet and some bit drivers with all of our screws. Okay. And then over here, we have the lattice mount system, the lattice blocks, which is going to be fun to figure out what ones we want to use. And now, let's check out the board itself. So we got the blue-gray. With the white bottom. So classy. I love MODE stuff because it's all very precise. I think I said that in my last video. Okay, so we went with the blue-gray top with the white bottom. Then we'll have the copper weight, which will drop right in. It's going to look awesome. And then, like I said, we have Cherry MX Blacks from Unikey's. And they have been lubed and filmed. I've never had lubed and filmed professionally. So I was real excited to get these from Unikey's. These came in recently. So we'll set those back there. And then to top it off, we have GMK ASCII, which is a gray and white set. So I feel like it's going to really work with the blue, gray, and white board here. And of course, we have the walnut accent to bring it back down to earth here all in the back. And so I'm very excited about this. Oblotsky always has really cool stuff. So we are going to turn all of this into a keyboard. Obviously, the first thing we need to do is start with our stabilizers. So we'll clear everything out. We're going to take these out, lube these up, get these ready, and go from there. So here we go. Okay, for this PCB, we're going to need 1 for the spacebar, 2 left shift, 3 right enter, 3 4 right backspace. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is use some 205G0 and lube up the stems to go into the housings. All right, next up we're going to dip the legs in some dielectric grease before we put them in the housings there. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Let's put this away. And to be honest, we're going to wash our hands. We'll be right back. Okay, next up, we're going to get these stabilizers on our PCB. So let's bring that over. And these are screw-in stabilizers. And the screws are actually come pre-installed in the housings. So we'll undo those and get them here on the board. All right, the cool thing is they even tell you on the board, it says right there, ANSI stab, ISO stab. So as you're trying to do this in the ISO layout, you'll know which one. I mean, it's little touches like that that are really cool. All right, and there we go. Perfect. So we got the stabilizers on. Next up, we'll get the switches on with the plate, and then we'll flip it over and solder those in. All right, so let's do that. The plate we're going to use is the aluminum plate, so let's get that out. There we go. Perfect. Oh, that's going to be so good. Okay, we're not going to use foam, and we are not going to use standoffs, so we need a plate fork. So let's get that out here. And then the switches we're using are, again, from Unikeys. And they're MX1A Hyperglide Blacks, filmed and lubed. So, pretty unique to me. I've never had switches like custom like that, so I'm pretty excited about that. So here we go. We got those corners in. Start working our way around here. Now for the space bar, same thing. I mean, there's two choices here, but only one of them is centered for the 7U. You can probably tell just by looking at it that it's this one. But if you look, they do have it labeled 7U. What I like to do is put my finger on that one, and that way when I flip it over, it's the one that my finger's on, just in case. So we'll pop that in. Looks good. Okay. Same thing for the rest of the bottom row. You can see here there's a choice of either the left or the right. So we can see the 7U is the one closest to the space bar, so the one to the left. So that's the one we will use. Perfect. And then on these three as well, looks like 7U is always the one closer into the space bar. So in to the right here. We are done with our plate fork. Okay. There you have it. That looks real sleek. Also, you know, you tend to be able to see the plate through the keys in certain angles. So having it be a darker color is really nice. With, you know, the darker board here, I think that's a pretty close. I mean, that looks good. All right. So next up is, well, this isn't hot swap. This is solder. So we got to flip this over. We got to go through here and solder all these up. So let's get our soldering iron, our exhaust fan. Let's get all that ready. And we'll start working on that. Here we go. Okay, time to solder this up. Let's get a strand We're going to start in this corner up here and just work our way down. All right, I think that's it. Ah, that's way too high. Whoa, way up there. All right, that was it. All soldered up. So let's plug it into the daughter board, get it into VIA, do a quick key test before we put all the keycaps on, just in case, and we'll go from there. All right. We are done with that. Let's unplug this because we're going to need to get that in the case. Okay, let's get this daughter board down here in the case. We're going to use these screws here. All right, and actually we're going to remove this cable to make it a little easier for our weight to go down in there. So let's do that right now. So we originally ordered the Dawn weight. Very nice, kind of like a golden cream color. But then on the MODE warehouse sale one day, we came across the copper weight. So let's check that out. And there we go. The copper weight. So there's definitely a difference in weight between the two weights. So 22 grams for the Dawn weight and 75 grams for the copper weight. So 3 times as heavy for the copper weight. So let's drop that copper in there. Perfect. Let's screw these in. Okay. So there you go. Let's flip it and see what we got. Perfect. So now we have the centerpiece here, and we want that MODE logo to be up like that. Yeah, I think that looks really good. All right. So let's flip it over and screw it in. So we have this bag. This bag is the feet. So let's get those feet on there. So it looks like they're just slightly bigger than the hole. So they kind of just friction fit their way in there. Okay. Nice. Final thing to do is to get the PCB in there. Doodle-doo. And the way we're going to do that is with these lattice blocks. Okay, so it looks like what we have are the top mount lattice blocks, the black lattice blocks, which are the stiffest. That's not true. These green ones here have no mesh at all. They're just totally solid, so I'm assuming these are by far the stiffest. And then the black ones, which have some lattice to them, so these have to be softer than the full hard ones, right? And then we have full lattice here, and then we have partial lattice. So normally I go top mount, so I think we're going to start with that. We have the aluminum plate with the MX Blacks. I enjoy top mount, so we're going to try that. If that's absolutely terrible, we'll move on to the different lattices, but we're going to roll with that. So let's get this case off, and we'll go from there. Okay, so you remove those 4 screws in the back, and the case comes off. What we need to do, we're going to set this to the side, is we're going to flip this over, and we're going to put our lattice blocks in here. It's going to go bottom first, and those are going to go right on. Perfect. So there we have it again. We have the top mount lattice blocks, and then the PCB screwed into those. Okay. Now let's get our bottom plate back. And the way this works is the front lip kind of goes in first, and then the back just lays on, and we'll put it down. Perfect. Oh! That's never gonna work. Let's undo that. Let's take our cable and plug it in. And again, it's pins down. So these little gold pins, you want those facing down. Now it's complete. So we can do our keycaps. But first, let's do our accent. So you can see this super well engineered rear piece here. I mean, there's a ton of CNC going on, but we've got these magnets, 4 of them here. It's going to grab on to our accent piece. Beautiful walnut. Matches our sonnet and our encore. So let's get this out. And again, look at this. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. So we got this walnut piece, CNC'd as well with embedded magnets. And honestly, it feels like it was just oiled. I mean, this is premium. Whew. Awesome. And I love having wood on my keyboards because it's such a highly technical piece, but we still have a piece of nature. We've brought a piece of outside into the technical world, and I like that. Really grounds it for me. Ooh. Let's watch that again. I mean, absolutely perfect. Time to finish it off with some keycaps. Let's get this. We have GMK ASCII, and this is a gray and white keycap set, so I thought it would definitely really match the white and blue-gray of the board. So I think this is going to be a really nice complement to finish this board off. Now, since this is a true row 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can't use the escape key here because it's going to be a different sculpt profile than the tilde key. So we're definitely going tilde key here. All right, this appears to be the last key. Oh yeah, perfect. Okay, this is awesome. Let's get these put away here. Let's do the sound test, and let's see where we're at here. All right, so there you have it. That again was the isolated top mount, and I'd like to flip it to the other side of the spectrum, and let's go full lattice mount and just see what this difference is in sound between the least amount of flex and the most amount of flex. Just curious. All right, let's check it out. So the full lattice, these are the ones with the most flex. We're gonna put those on. Now you could do a combination. You could do real flex in the back and a medium flex up front, or vice versa. Now when you put these on, you want the lattice to point downwards to the PCB. So you want the lattice, the little tab, to be up, and that just again slides right on that. Now, there's nothing to screw in with these. So there is no screw like we had with the top mount. So now we're just going to reassemble it. Less than 10 minutes, you can change your whole board. We got some extra screws out of the deal. We'll put those over there. Okay, let's get ready to listen to this. Okay, so I can definitely feel the flex, and I feel like a lot of the character of the alphas is gone now. It's definitely a much more muted sound. It's the space bar doesn't seem to have gone really too far in any direction, but the alphas I noticed right away aren't necessarily mushy. They're just they don't have the pop that they used to have with the top mount. So I think one more thing we'll try is the full lattice blocks, just to see if that is just takes the edge off the top mount a little bit. We'll see, and we'll go from there. So all right, one more of these. All right, so as you can see, these don't have any lattice at all. These are full blocks, so it should give a little bit of edge off of the pure top mount without really providing much flex at all. So I think, if anything, I might like this one the best, but I'm starting to think top mount may be the one we stick with. We'll see what this gives us here. Okay, so here we go. This is the full block. So it's the lattice block, but there's no lattice to it, if I'm explaining that right. All right, so that was definitely it for me. The pure top mount I felt was too stiff and really had like no character to the sound. This, I can actually hear the scratch a little bit of the MX Blacks, which is perfect. I can hear the board and the character of the board, whereas with the top mount, I felt it was just too stiff, and I was almost hearing like the plastic of what I thought were like the ABS keys. I don't know. It felt just too like stiff on that top mount and connected to the case. So this, I feel like, is a really good happy medium. The full lattice to me just kind of sucked again all of the sound out, muted a lot of the sound. And again, this is all with no foam, so I didn't change or put any foam in on any of these tests. So, but this is like the top mount sort of clack, right? The loud sort of bright poppiness of the keys, but the character of the board comes through, whereas with the pure top mount, it just kind of sucked all the character out. So this is definitely my favorite. Thank you all for checking this out. I'll talk to you later. Peace.